UFP, the United Federation of Podcasts.
Welcome to Franchise Fatigue, the goobly-gobbly, scary, freaky movie podcast on the United Federation of Podcast Network, where all the good little boils and ghouls come to have fun, speaking of movies, sequels, and remakes. I am your undead host, Brandon-Shea Mutella, and joining me, as always, is the ever-wonderful, back from the grave, Zach Moore.
I want my birthday cake, Brendan.
Not birthday cake, Father's Day cake.
Well, I'm not a father, so I got to change it up. But if you notice, that VCR is not on play; it's on record. So.
Oh, how spooky! Very spooky. And joining us, we've got ourselves a very special guest for this series of movies, all the way from the Talk Film Society, Marcelo Pico. How are you doing, Marcelo?
Hey guys, I am great. Thanks for having me on for this little series in particular. I can't wait to talk about these movies.
These movies are a lot of fun. You and I have had a little bit of a back and forth on Twitter a couple of times about these movies. I even tweeted, I thought it was going to be a closer tweet, like a poll. I'm like, what do the users think is better, Creepshow 1 or Creepshow 2? And Creepshow 1 blew the poll out of the water. I was a little surprised by that. I thought there was a little bit more love for Creepshow 2, but maybe it's just that it's not that there's not love for Creepshow 2. It's just that they think Creepshow 1 is just that much better.
Yeah, it's something I've been not struggling with, but like finding more interesting as the years go by. Mm-hmm. That yes, I should say up front, I'm one of those weirdos who thinks Creepshow 2 is better than Creepshow 1.
Although 100% agree with you, Marcelo.
Oh wow!
I mean, this is a great way to start this series, by the way.
Yes, yes.
But I'll talk more about that, I guess, as this goes on. I mean, Creepshow 3 is its own thing. I guess we'll talk about that much later. Mm-hmm, but yes. The first two, I can't talk about the first one without talking about the second one, because the second one was my introduction to this whole, I guess, series.
Yeah,
and really scarred me as a kid.
Most definitely.
Yeah, and then it wasn't until later that I finally saw Creepshow 1, and I mean, okay, after today I sat down and watched the first two, Creepshow 1 and Creepshow 2, and I don't know, now it's close for me. I have my reasons for saying, yes, I love Creepshow 2, I think it's my favorite, and I'd say, I don't know, I could really make a case for it being the better film, but I don't know, after today, it's close. Creepshow 1, I could see why it's heralded as I guess it's a horror masterpiece. It's I think you could call it that. But yeah, God.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to this discussion. So today we're just going to talk about Creepshow 1, and next episode we'll be talking about Creepshow 2. But, I believe that I might have had the same history with this. I think I saw Creepshow 2 first as well, Marcelo, in my youth. Probably too young. I think I was a little bit too young.
Oh, boy.
As with all the best horror movies.
So I'd never seen either of these before, any of these before, I should say.
Wow.
And I sat down to watch them for this project, and I'm excited to talk about it. So
good, yeah, because this is very different than what we've done before. Like, this is an anthology series of movies, so not only are all three of the movies different from each other, like, there's different stories within each, and so this is kind of a little bit of an experiment for franchise fatigue, but I think it's going to be fun. And part of the reason why I wanted to discuss this series of film is because Shudder has recently released a Creepshow TV series, and they've released 6 episodes, and each episode is 45 minutes long, but there's 2 25-minute episodes in it. Now, I know Zach hasn't seen it yet, but Marcelo, have you watched this show yet?
I've actually seen, I think, the first 3 episodes. Back in October, November, close to when they dropped. I mean, I'm a fan. I gotta tell you guys this too. I love horror anthologies. of all kinds. There's rarely few that I think are bad because they're just so interesting. Like horror short films are interesting because they each have their own mini concepts that runs through for like 10 minutes, and like some of my favorite horror movies are just straight to the point, cut to the chase, you're in, you're out. So that's why I love this Creepshow concept, and that's why I think the TV show works. The series on Shudder. I've seen some people react negatively to those episodes, and I can see why. The quality may not be, I guess, what you'd want in like a series, a horror series. Maybe we should put more money into it. But no, I love the core concept. I love how it's these original ideas, these original horror ideas brought to life. And I'm a fan from what I've seen of that series. I need to go back and finish watching the first season. But yeah, I can say for sure I'm a fan of that series too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they've renewed it for a second season, which is great. So I'm looking forward to that. I've seen them all myself, and I would say that out of each of the six episodes, one is really great and one's pretty good. So there was none that I disliked. Yeah. I think they were all a lot of fun. I don't know if you saw it yet, but my definite favorite is The Head in the House.
Yes, that one. Oh God, that one was really good.
That one was awesome.
I was watching those episodes, like I said, late last year, and I'm currently in a house where my roommate is gone most of the time. Like he's gone this week, and I won't see him for another week and a half, whatever. But I was alone in my house, and it was at night, and watching that one in particular, the Head in the House, I got freaked out, which I don't normally do. Because I don't know, but for some reason that story, that mood that it set, and then to cap it off, I was watching it, being kind of like creeped out. Somebody knocked on my door at like 8 at night. It was 8 at night. I'm like, what the hell's going on? And I forget what he wanted. He was just like a guy selling something, but knocking at my door at 8 p.m. on like a Wednesday. While I'm watching Creepshow. Yeah. Anyway.
Awesome. I love it. Yeah. Excellent. Well, that's our little backstory into why I decided to do this, and I'm grateful that Zach has decided to play along, and I'm grateful that you're here, Marcelo. But Zach, I'm guessing you've got some trivia for us on this, the first one, Creepshow.
I do. So Creepshow 1, just called Creepshow until Creepshow 2 came out. It had a very unique release strategy that Warner Brothers tried with it. Instead of opening it wide release during the summer, Warner Brothers gave it a 4-week trial run in the Boston area in July of 1982. And it did very well. And so they prepared it for a November 1982 release. And you think, oh, it's kind of a scary movie. Wouldn't you release it around Halloween? But they avoided the pre-October 31st, pre-Halloween times because this was the same year that Halloween 3 Season of the Witch came out in 1982. And their prediction was that a Halloween movie without Michael Myers would kind of burn out fast, and then people would still want to see scary movies, and then they'd go see Creepshow, and they were absolutely correct. So that paid off for them for Halloween versus Creepshow. Now, this is directed by George A. Romero, infamous for Night of the Living Dead, etc., etc. And this is the only film of his to open up at number 1 at the box office, which is crazy to me. I guess he's so well known for these cult classics. They were cult classics because they didn't hit it big until maybe later, or have a very devoted following, but not a huge blockbuster. So that was surprising for me to find. Now, Stephen King and George Romero were good friends and always wanted to work with each other on a film, and this was their opportunity. So they took it. Stephen King was the writer of the film, and only George A. Romero. This is the only film that George A. Romero did where he didn't write the screenplay. So that's where that partnership came up. And Stephen King's original draft was 142 pages. And and before and after the making of the film, the stories The Crate and Something to Tide You Over switched places, which made The Crate story number 3 and Something to Tide You Over number 4. And that is also how the graphic novel adaptation of Creepshow turned out, because it was based on an earlier version of the story.
I am so disappointed. I was certain I had the comic adaptation of this, the graphic novel, and I can't find it anywhere. I was certain I had it. I was going to read it again.
So you've read it before? You
I
at
have,
least used to have it? Yeah.
Yeah, but it's been a really long time. I don't know. I guess I must not have it.
Is the animation the same? Like the illustration style the same as in the movie? Do you remember?
Yes. I don't know if they're identical, but they're
close
pretty
enough.
close. Yeah.
That's cool. Now, obviously, as we were talking about, this is an anthology film, so all the stories are different. They're not connected. But there is one thing that ties them all together if you look closely. It's the marble ashtray. It's featured most in the first film, Father's Day. It's shown multiple times. That's the murder weapon of the first murder of the father on Father's Day. In the loathsome death of Jordi Verrell, it's next to the cash box at the Department of Meteors when Stephen King goes in there in his imagination multiple times. In the third one, Something to Tide You Over. It's on the nightstand next to Richard's bed. In The Crate, it's on the writing desk when Henry writes the letter to Wilma. And in They're Creeping Up on You, it's the soap dish, which Upson Pratt is washing his hands with. So
I did not notice that.
And it's also in the wraparound story as well, because it's on Billy's desk when he's stabbing the voodoo doll. So that's a little Easter egg to look out for next time you watch Creepshow.
Nice.
Can I bring up that I was watching this with a commentary, which I believe Romero and Savini recorded like mid-2000s, like 2007, I think. It's a good listen. It's on the Scream Factory release. They do a bit of like hunting for that marble ashtray throughout the movie. They're like, "Is it there? Is it there? Is it there?" And I'm glad you brought this up because because they had missed it during the Geordie section, and they're like, "Oh, I guess we didn't catch it." But thank you for saying that. I'll keep an eye on it next time I watch the movie where those ashtrays are.
Absolutely.
Do you have it on Blu-ray? Is that a Blu-ray release?
Yes, it's a Blu-ray release. Yes,
version.
Highly recommend it.
Yeah, my version that I have here. I don't know if you can see it, Marcel. I'll hold it up for you. I've got the original Warner Brothers DVD.
Oh yeah,
right?
with the classic cover,
the cardboard.
Oh yes,
double-sided DVD, widescreen on one side.
Amazing.
Yeah. So you don't have to watch with those silly black bars at the top and bottom of your CRT monitor.
I should say I rented this from my local video store, from Vulcan Video in Austin, because I've been waiting for this to go down in price because Shout Factory likes to, sell discs for like $30 a pop if they're not on sale. So I'm still waiting to buy a Creepshow on Blu-ray, that collector's edition. But from what I've seen from watching all the special features, highly, highly recommend it.
Awesome.
Now, Tom Savini, as you were talking about, he's the a makeup guy who's worked with George Romero for years. He revealed that all the creatures of the film had nicknames. The creature in the crate was called Fluffy. And the skeleton at the window at the beginning of the film, which is kind of the avatar, the icon of the Creepshow movies, or at least in the posters, that one was called Raoul, Raoul, like Raoul from Phantom of the Opera. So anyway, that's his name.
Or Raoul from Panic Room too. Maybe it's the same guy.
Is it spelled that way? I don't know. But there's a cameo from Stephen King's son. He is the boy featured at the beginning of the film. So there you have it.
Oh, nice.
And now we get it's an anthology film here, so there's these little bits and pieces about the different stories as we go. But I put them in order of appearance in the film. So in Father's Day, Aunt Bedelia's father came to life after she spilled whiskey on the grave, and in Gaelic, the word for whiskey is water of life. So that can be interpreted of that is why he came out of the grave when that happened. So that's because you wonder, like, why, if she's going there every year, why does that happen this year? Perhaps because she spilled the whiskey. We don't know. And when he does come out of the grave, which is disgusting, as many things in this film are, as we'll discuss, Rice Krispies were used as maggots on the corpse's eyes. And in addition, real maggots were also utilized. And Stephen King, writer of the film, prolific horror writer, he stars in the second story, the Geordie story, and he was told to play Geordie like Wile E. Coyote, the way he looks when he goes off a cliff. So that was his direction from Romero, and that's pretty much how he played it. And interesting that Stephen King had an allergic reaction to the makeup he had to wear as Jordi Verrell, so he was subjected to shots and medication so the work will be bearable, quote unquote. So,
I just want to point out one trivia thing about Stephen King you didn't mention. Stephen King is an amazing director because every film he's ever